Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Sunday night, and it is time for another live stream. Tonight we're going to be talking about a number of subjects. We have the fact that there appears to be a mem shortage going on. So not only do we have a memory shortage, there is now a mem shortage, which is likely to hit many flight controllers, but we're going to have to wait and see what happens. There is a new KISS Ultra Mini version 3, which I'm just going to talk about very quickly. We're going to talk about Oxbot and the fact that they've sent me a message asking me to clarify the situation. Well, they didn't ask me to, but they sort of made a point of saying, hey, our firmware is not AM32, or more importantly, BLHeli 32. We're going to talk about FPV Wiki a little bit, and then I want to talk about where we're at today in FPV and a little bit of the future, actually, of FPV and YouTube and what it means for me and others, because Bot Grinder's put a really good video out. If you haven't seen it, it's worth a look. Bot's video, and he's been talking about how he's been doing this 10 years. Can't believe Bot's 10 years. I've been doing this. No one was watching, but I was doing this since 2012, on and off. But yeah, Bot has been talking about how it's been for him, and it's interesting because there is a shift happening in the creator space, and it's not just in drones. It's interesting that the likes of Gerald Undone has changed what he intends to do, and we're actually suffering with the same problem now that Gerald Undone and the camera industry is suffering with, and that is very much the fact that technology has somewhat plateaued, and we're getting to the stage where big changes and improvements are simply not going to happen. So, but we'll talk about that as that goes along as well. So, a big hello to everyone in the stream. Thank you for joining me. I hope you are all safe and well. I hope you've had all had a good week. I've had a busy week, as everyone probably has. This week, something arrived, and I've been trying to make this happen for forever. Well, not forever, but since it launched. And let me just move this box. I can't show you it because it's not in there. But yes, I finally have a Snapmaker U1. And I have done the first print on it tonight. And in fact, that first print is here, actually. Woo, there it is. There's the first print. Ooh, well, it's there and it's out of focus. This is my first test print. I created this as a test print myself to intentionally just have a look. I didn't want anything too long. This took like 20 minutes. So it was the perfect multicolor test print. It has come out perfect. The colors, the alignment, everything is perfect. And just to give you an idea, that is the purge tower from it. I chose to add a purge tower. But yes, we are going to talk a little bit about the Snapmaker, but there'll be a much bigger video coming when it comes out eventually as well. But yes, full tool changer. Very interesting. Everyone needs to pull their finger out. So, I hope you're all safe and well. I hope everyone has had a good week. The first thing I just want to get, I'm going to get some sort of news things out the way. So, first bit of news I want to talk about is this, and I'm not on the screen because I turned that off earlier. 3, 2, 1, bing, there I am. There is a version 3 of the Ultra Mini. They're quietly pushed out this week. Biggest changes are different gyro, I think it is, and a different back, and it's USB-C. So there we go. Nice to see. Nice to see the version 3 has pushed out. So I don't have one, but there's not really a great deal to say other than that it's there for those who love KISS. You can't get it because it's sold out already, because as soon as it comes in, they sell through them all. But if you're interested in getting one, make sure you get on the Discord. That is the best place to be if you want to get updates on Ultra products, because you'll get a notification when they become available, and Alex sends that out to everyone. Great product, phenomenal product. It genuinely really is a very, very good product. Now, whilst I am on the subject of flight controllers, I did just want to highlight this, and this has some rather concerning potential behind it. So, Beta FPV have put an announcement out that there is a shortage of some gyros from ICM. And as a result of that, they are now going to be shipping some of their flight controllers, not only with the 42688P, but also the 42622, the LSM 6DSV16X, and the LSM 6DSK320K. Now, where the murkiness around this is the fact that a number of these gyros, specifically the LSMs, I don't believe are supported in Betaflight officially yet. However, my reading of the situation is Betaflight intends to support the Vision SK320, but I don't believe Betaflight is going to be supporting the SV16X because it hasn't met the performance standards. Yet Beta FPV are saying they intend to be shipping it. So, I think this could all get a little bit messy. It isn't good that you get manufacturers just heading off and doing their own thing. Again, not working with the open source projects to ensure that what they're doing and saying is correct. Not the first time we've seen stuff like this, though, I will add. As for why there's a shortage of MEMS, MEMS is complex when it comes to production. MEMS production is nothing like the production of typical silicon, and over the last 5, 6, 7, even longer years, whilst there has been some scaling of MEMS production, it's not remotely on the same scale as you've had on standard silicon production. You literally have far fewer production facilities making them, and right now you have demand going through the roof, not only with smartphones and smart devices, but MEMS sensors are being baked into more and more devices. It's now moving away from just being in smartphones, tablets. You're getting Hall sensors, gyros, all of this stuff being baked into tons of products, 3D printers. You know, even household products are now getting MEMS sensors introduced into them. And as a result of that, you're then seeing an increase in demand, which then has an effect on capacity. Screwdrivers, it's everything. MEMS sensors are, yeah, they're going into all sorts of stuff now. And as a result of that, you're going to see things like a shortage. As I've said, there are some concerning things here. Some gyroscopes are not yet supported in official Betaflight firmware, so don't flash the original firmware and stay tuned. So they're going to ship their own forks. That is not good. That is not good. Yeah, not exactly what I would recommend manufacturers do. I feel on tiny whoops, good gyro is more important than on the bigger ones. Yeah, yeah, but it affects everything. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. That's all we can do. So that's that. Just catching up on the chat. It's not really... Kiss is a cult. Not really. It's just a good product. Faz said, I was disappointed Radio Master dropping the memory from 2 gig to 512 and keeping the same price. Yeah, because the price of the component has not changed. Them dropping to 512 is still more expensive or on par with what they were paying for 2 gig. You can't expect the manufacturer to drop the price if the component hasn't changed. Basically, the 4 gig isn't even available, and the 512 is the same price as what the 4 gig was when they bought them originally. So not only can you not buy the 4 gig, the price of the 512 has come up to match the cost of what was the 4 gig. So there is nothing to drop the price of. Radio Master really had a choice. They didn't really have a choice, but if they could have got the 4 gig, they could have increased the price of the radio to maintain the 4 gig, but you can't even get the 4 gig. So they've basically maintained the pricing and dropped the storage to 512. But as I have said, and I've said this several times, this is largely a non-issue. The built-in memory on the radio is still 2 to 3 times the size of what is used on the standard SD card size, and you can still fit your own SD card. The Mark III and the TX15 have an SD card slot under the battery bay. If you want more storage, simply pop the SD card in the back. You can go and get yourself an SD card from Amazon. I don't know what the cheapest SD card is on Amazon these days. Yeah, someone said, I guess they run out of stuff. Yeah, look, you always have production batches. You will have they probably bought in, I don't know. I don't know how many radios they've shipped, but as an example, 1,000 of the memory chips. And here's where it gets a bit messy and difficult for manufacturers. They probably underbought based on the fact that memory prices have been way too high for the last 6 months anyway. So when they bought the 4 gigs, they probably didn't buy quite as many as they would have usually bought because the price was high. And with the potential hope of, well, it's either going to go up or down, and we'll hope it goes down, because that's what you would do. And then when they couldn't get the 4 gig, they're then in a position going, well, what can we do? Prices continue to increase, and the 512. And it's just like, welcome to the world of AI. And it's not that AI is using these chips, because it isn't. But it's all about the production capacity. It's all about the changes. And we're seeing it happen everywhere. For instance, DJI in the O4 Pro Air unit have changed the memory chip that they're using. They've migrated over to a Chinese manufacturer. I can also confirm in this, the GT2, Cadex have migrated over to a different memory chip as well. They're using one from Rolson rather than the NAND that they were using before. Everyone is suffering here on memory. Even phone memory is suffering. Yeah, it's happening everywhere. There is still a major problem with memory. And is there a major drawback to putting an SD card in the Mark III? No drawback at all. It's a nightmare. And it's going to continue to be a nightmare. There is no great improvement in sight. Until the collapse of the AI boom, this isn't going to get better. And I've said this before, my opinion is there will be a collapse. I even think someone like OpenAI will cease to exist. I think OpenAI are sitting on sorry, I've left a light on. Just realized. I think OpenAI is they are absolutely on the brink of being the first to go. If you look at everyone else, Anthropic, I think OpenAI is the biggest, and until this collapse comes, we're not going to see a improvement in memory, because there is no solution to manufacturing the quantities needed for all of this data center purchasing. Until this all resets, and it will. There is always a boom, and they don't want you saying this, but Microsoft will be fine, Google will be fine, Apple will be fine. All of these companies who have tickled around it, and I'll be honest, I think Apple have been incredibly sensible. I was watching an article about, obviously, Tim Cook is leaving Apple and how the new guys got to catch up on AI. I don't think they do. I think Apple have been very clever. I would let the others play with it. Watch the government bail them out. I don't think they'll need to. What I think will happen is OpenAI will collapse and get bought by Nvidia. That's what will happen. They'll collapse and get bought by Nvidia. That's probably, or Google or one of the others. But look, until the great shift happens, we're stuffed. I just wanted to have a look at the, see if there's, it's even in NAN now. Buy stocks and Spirit Airlines, good deal right now. Apple has got Google to do its AI. Yes, I know. But I mean, people talking about Apple investing. I think that they're quite... the there needs to be a reset. At the moment, there is no sense in the amount of hardware purchasing that's going on. There are companies with buildings and warehouses full of GPUs. The problem is right now, the purchasing is based on a future need, not a current need. And where the reset will come is when suddenly all that need levels up. Microsoft have admitted they have thousands upon hundreds of thousands of GPUs just sitting in storage because they haven't built the data centers yet. They haven't built the power supplies yet. The problem is everything is being swallowed through huge investment with a future need. You know, we're going to need this in a year. We're going to need this in a year. And this is just how this will all... And it will correct. It will correct in the end. But the big winner in this will be the Chinese because they're on a march. And mark my words, they will come out of this very well in the end. The Chinese memory manufacturers will massively benefit from this because what they're doing right now is basically trying to catch up. And they are catching up very, very quickly. So look, it's not good, but there are shortages of gyros and the memory shortage continues and it's going to hit products. Just so you guys appreciate, in FPV, the kind of products that will be affected by memory shortage are radios that have onboard storage, but that effect is minor. You know, if you think about it, radio, we've gone from 4 gig to 512 and you can fit an SD card. Like it's not even a what's the term I'm thinking of? It's not even a inconvenience change. Largely, no one will notice this memory change in radios because no one was using 4 gig anyway. So it's not even inconvenient. When it comes to everything else, it's digital VTXs. And specifically, DJI 04 and Avatar HD. Both 04 and Avatar HD have large amounts of memory on board to run their systems. You then will also see things affected such as FPV goggles, such as HD0. HD0's goggles and receiver uses memory, but their VTX doesn't. So you're fine. Whereas on Avatar and DJI, the VTX and the goggles have to use NAND flash and DDR. Both of them do the same. As for other products, really it's digital VTXs. That's largely where you're going to see it. But then remember, this will overspill into action cameras. So, your action DJI and GoPro are going to face pressure. DJI, less so much. Because they're China-based, and DJI is already putting a lot of Chinese-based memory in their products. We've already seen that in the Avata 360 teardown. GoPro could struggle here because an American company manufacturing in China, when it comes to a shortage, I wouldn't be shocked if some pressure was put on GoPro here, but they've got their new cameras, so let's see. But your action cameras and things like that. And then it's consumer technology. TVs, although, yes, a lot of TVs, cameras, general consumer tech. Most other stuff, though, like your smart devices around your home, are using microcontrollers. It's daylight saving thing where I am, Stu. We've shifted times. I'm staying the same time my side, but it has changed. So look, that's where we're at. But look, here and now, 04 is more widely available than it was. Caddx have the new GT. Can you confirm DJI have changed the gyro on 04 Pro? As far as I'm aware, nothing's changed. I'm not aware the gyro has changed on 04. I don't have a... Oh, I do have a brand new 040 unit, actually, but I don't know what production it is. I'm not aware DJI's changed their gyro. So, yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see. Right. Moving on. This is the Cadex GT2. My video will be coming on this tomorrow. Let's just go to the overhead. Woohoo! Now, my review on this will come tomorrow. It is a bit complex, though, because it is a non-flying review. Look, I can't review this VTX in the air, okay? I just can't. This puts out more power than I can ever legally use here in the UK. However, what you are going to get from me is a complete technical breakdown. It's quite a long video, and yes, we're tearing it down as well. So you're going to get to see inside, but you're going to get a complete technical overview of the GT2, and the new firmware from Caddx with the frequency hopping and the auto power mode. As I've said, and as I wrote in, DJ is using the same gyro as for the 040 unit. I thought it was the same gyro before. I don't know what fly we were talking about, because it was always the same gyro. There was no difference between the gyro on the 04 and the 04 Pro that I remember. It was always the same. Wine, reduce the power if possible and still flight test it. What's the point on 25 milliwatts? There's no point. What am I going to show you it going around the fleet? I know it works fine. It has been flown, but I'm not... There's no point. Look, I cannot show you what this VTX can do. It's simply not possible. So more of a technical overview of the VTX and the changes. There's nothing wrong with it. Cadex have fished? Cadex have Cadex have fixed pretty much all of the problems with the original GT. So it no longer has the low power mode quirk. It works fine now. Doesn't have separate internal antennas like the last one for low power mode. They've reworked the internal design. Not sure on everything, but look, it is a refresh which fixes all of the problems that should never have happened with the first one. That's probably the right way to think about the GT2. It is not designed to fly further. It is not designed to give you better RF performance over the GT. It's really designed to improve the quirks and the bad behavior of the GT. And that's really, you know, if you think about it, it's got a proper SD card slot, external gimbal connector now, MMCX rather than UFLs. It doesn't have the low power mode quirk, and they've added a new auto power mode as well. What, you know, it's still Avatar, as someone's just said. It's the same DVR. It's a recording on the main SoC. Nothing, and they've added USB-C. You know, it's not magical, but that isn't to say it isn't a good product. And And that's thing. And where I have said I am wrong, and I did say this, and I think did I say it? I was wrong, and I was wrong. And where I said I was wrong is that it felt like Avatar was dead, and it did feel like Avatar was dead. But what I was wrong in saying is I thought Avatar was dead. This is proof that it isn't. And the fact that they've added frequency hopping, and I give you a spectrum analysis view of that as well in the video, showing you the behavior and what happens, as I showed a few weeks ago. But it appears Avatar isn't dead yet. So I was wrong. You know, I said it was dead, and I will openly admit when I'm wrong. Caddx have proved me wrong. It isn't dead. It is alive and kicking, and they have told me a few other things that are coming around the corner as well. So it seems like they've woken back up, which is good news. I don't really understand the mass hiatus. And, you know, there was no changes on Avatar forever, but the fact is they're back and they're doing work. It's not DJI 03 going to 04. Absolutely not. No. Look, this is a rework of the GT with him, you know, and they've just fixed a few problems. And that's good, though. It's a better VTX for it. I do know there's been some controversy around power consumption. I've tested it at about 16 and a bit watts in my testing. I didn't bother testing the original GT. I don't really have an interest of proving Cadex right or wrong. They're saying about 16 watts. I'm seeing about 16.2, 16.3 watts in my testing. Something I will say, though, and it is in the video, and it's important to know, you really want to be using this VTX on direct battery and not a back. When you arm this VTX, it has a very large power spike on the power input, and it will suck as much as 3 amps for a microsecond of time. So just be aware that this VTX really should be on VBAT. It does work down to 11.1 volts, and a 2 amp back will struggle, but it does have a big surge. Should the power connector have a cap? A cap might help, but yeah, you want to be a little bit careful. I have found it will brown out some controllers, even that say they support the current. If I just find the image, GT2, where is it? Here. Let me just open that up here. If I go on to this, this is a current probe measurement of the VTX. So you can see down here, it's drawing about 60 milliamps. And that was when it was settled. And you can see that there's a jump up to a massive step of 3 amp on arm. You get this massive spike before it then settles back down again. So just be aware of that. It's a massive spike. I was seeing it on the multimeter at first. On the multimeter, I was seeing like 1.6 amp, 2 amp. But the meter isn't fast enough to catch the full spike. You end up having to get into an oscilloscope with a current probe to be able to catch it on this kind of time frame. But yeah, so just be aware, she does have quite a pull. That is the peak. You can see here, this is the arming point. Can you get a radio license to over more power over there? No. There is no way in the UK of flying any more than 25 milliwatts. No, there is no get around in the UK. No, you don't need an external fan to keep it cool on the bench. Its built-in fan can absolutely keep it under control. But yeah, so just be aware it could brown out your yeah, look, it's size wise, it's like for people who want to do long range, I wouldn't recommend this for everyday use. It's a heavy thing. I wouldn't be putting no PWM, 2-port DC, 2-wire. It's got the standard camera. It's got the standard pro camera. The Caddx, nothing has changed camera wise. It's exactly the same camera as before. But it doesn't need an exterior fan. It is loud though. It's got quite a whine on it as well. Definitely gonna car. It's look, it's absolutely an evolutionary product. That is for sure. Right, guys. Next thing I want to talk about is Oxbot. Now, before I do that, I just want to mention Patreon and FPV Wiki for those who don't know. I have been doing a bunch of work on FPV Wiki for those who haven't seen it. FPV Wiki is the website I upload a bunch of my stuff to. You will see that we've got a section for DJI, Cadex HD0, and there's the new ArtLink area as well. I haven't uploaded the GT2 yet. I'll probably get that done tomorrow once the video's gone live. But there is tons of information on here as well. And we've now got all the new information on the ArtLink systems as well. So if you're interested in checking it out, it is there. It's worth a look. It's fpvwiki.co.uk. You will find that there are a few banner ads now. These are specifically affiliate link banner ads that I use with brands. This is, frankly, YouTube ad revenue is becoming more and more challenging the way it is today. And I've just decided to pop these on. They're my affiliate links. They're not ads. They're actually my affiliate links that I've popped on there. And I am going to pop them onto the wiki just to try and get something to pay for it and get some income. But further on that, if you're new here, do consider checking out my Patreon as well as Buy Me a Coffee. We can only do this through Patreon. But I'm going to talk about this a little bit harder later because this is all getting a lot harder. And I do get it. And bots point, and we'll talk about bots specifically. But this is all becoming extremely difficult with the way everything is going. YouTube ad revenue is down through its arse, frankly. It's getting harder out there for everyone, and I don't really know where the future lies, and I do worry about the future for those who need to try and make this work. But what I am going to be doing is just being a bit more open and honest about just at some point halfway through saying, hey, consider supporting us on Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee if you want to donate. UAV Futures is just going to say, I'm going to have to get a real job at this rate. It's potentially the content I'm making is shit, or it's YouTube. Whichever way it is, it's getting harder and harder and harder. So do consider checking out the Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee. And if you're new here, don't forget to give the stream a like. But yeah, I'm also going to be publishing a list of the affiliate links that I do use. I don't really push them, but I've never been against affiliate links. I use them for Bamboo. I do use them for Radio Master and a few others. But I am going to publish a list that if people want to use them, they're there. It's as simple as that. So, look. Okay. Oxbot. Now, a little while ago, I did a review on the Oxbot flight controller. Now, I ordered this in. I didn't get sent this. I bought and paid for this myself. So it was the Speedy B version 5 with the Oxbot ESC. And I did a review on it, and in that review I made some comments about how it was awfully similar to BLHeli 32, the Oxbot configurator. Now, it seems they've been trying to reach out to me and send me a message because I got this email from them. They've sent me 2 emails to my address, but I haven't received. Now, I hadn't had these other 2 emails. But what they were basically saying is they came across my video and they'd like to take a moment to clarify that OX32 is fully independent developed ESC firmware. I've attached a brief technical description, which they're going to talk about. So, if you don't know, you've got this OX32, which, to me, when I was looking at the software, it looks an awful lot like BLHeli 32. Now, they've sent me this document, which goes over, they say, is OX32 versus BLHeli 32. Objective differences, established facts. Firmware different size. The compiled OX32 firmware is approximately 91 kilobytes, while the BLHeli 32 kilobyte firmware is approximately 62 kilobytes. A clear difference in code scale. I didn't say it was BLHeli 32, I just said it was similar. Features and protocols difference. OX32 does not use traditional PWM throttle protocol. Instead, it prioritizes higher reliability digital protocols such as D-Shot to improve noise resistance and real-time responsiveness. And we'll talk about roster in a minute. Parameter and feature explanation. OX32 provides several extended features including slow start, safe start, motor stall detection, 17, blah, 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 blah. Behavioral difference. Under identical test conditions, comparing acceleration, deceleration characteristics are clearly different. So they show this chart, right? So they're really going out to make a point of this is not the same. OX32 acceleration, deceleration response. BLHeli 32. So they're showing the voltage drop. They're showing the difference. Stall protection response. And they're showing charts on this. And comparing them. Architecture and development processes. OX32 is fully independently developed ESC firmware system with its own compilation toolchain and project structure, low-level hardware drivers, control algorithms. During development, over 300 motors were subjected to extreme testing, covering multiple kV ratings and application scenarios, including high load, aggressive acceleration, deceleration, and crash recovery to verify system stability and reliability. Below is some pictures of the motors they blew up. Apparently. Note on parameter interface similarity. And this is the comments that I made in the video. To reduce the learning curve for users, OX32 references industry standards naming conventions for some parameters. However, it should be noted that the internal implementation mechanisms of parameters are different. The control algorithm logic is independently designed. The system architecture is fully self-developed. Considering that the architecture, control algorithm features, implementations, and test performance of OX32 is independently developed ESC firmware system while maintaining compatibility with users' existing habits. So, look. They've made this document. Now, I don't know if they've made this just for me, or is this something that they've clearly pushed out. I can only tell you what they're telling me. I don't really recall saying, I think this is BLHeli 32. I don't believe I ever said this is BLHeli 32. It smells of a reverse, or it smells of a copy, but I didn't say it was. It smells like a clean and dirty room situation a little bit. I don't really get why it's... why they wanted to make this point so much, but they wanted to and they asked me to, so that's what I'm doing, and I can only do that. I've got no horse in this race. I have no good or bad to say. I have 2 of these. I've flown one. It flew okay. I didn't really test it extensively beyond that. I didn't feel the need. Yeah, I can't really comment. I know in Ross's ESC testing, I don't think it did particularly well. If we look at Chris Rosser, and look, you've got to be careful with testing like this as well. Oh, that's not useful. Chris's tests were interesting, but I don't really... like, I'm not sure what really I learned from it, in the sense of T-Hobby ESCs are good, others are bad. There wasn't anything there I thought was particularly shocking across the board. I just want to see, is the Oxbot here? I can't see on Chris's chart. Is it here? I'm not seeing it. Third column in the middle. That's the BLHeli S. Oxbot Champ. Okay, so that's the Oxbot Champ there. Okay. And look, I think in these tests, Oxbot Champ down here, response was pretty bad. But I'm not, look, I'm not sure I'd label any of these bad. And here's a point I'll make. And I've said this many times. You can have something, one is here and one is here, and there looks to be a massive gap, but the question is, can the user even tell the difference? Whilst there can be big differences in performance, if the lowest level is still at a point that users are happy, then the difference is largely irrelevant. What I'm actually more interested in, and here's a truth, for me, there's only really one test on an ESC I'm particularly interested in, and that is a stall test. And that is, bolt a plank of wood to it and stall the motor. And how does the FETs react from a full hing, from a full spin to a stick stop? A crash test. What you're looking for is, does the ESC set itself on fire or burn out? That's the only thing I care about. Because if it's going to hit a branch, stall the motor, blow the FETs, it's game over. It's not worth having. Everything else, to a point, to me, is largely irrelevant. It just is. That's the only test I care about, is, does it survive a crash? And I also think the stuck in the tree test. Yeah. And I also think, look, this is all being tested with one motor as well, and I'm not sure how true that gives it. So, yeah, look, I think when it comes to ESC testing, does it survive a crash? You know, you literally want a bot. You want a situation, and I even thought of a test rig to do this. You want a situation where you have a frame with the motor spinning with 4 planks of wood, with 4 pieces of wood or steel. And then you drop the frame, so you have a mechanism that releases the frame or releases 4 pins that instantly stall the motors. And then see, does it survive? It's like taking a broomstick through a bike wheel. Yeah. And look, I've said Chris actually does amazing work. Chris is a good guy. I haven't talked to him for a while, actually. He's a really good guy. I call him a friend in FPV. We talk every now and again. He's a really good guy. I personally wouldn't waste the time on a lot of these tests because I'm not sure in the end it changes anything. And here's a good example. I will not test RF power on a digital VTX. I will not provide you a number because I cannot provide you one which is accurate. So it's pointless. There's no point giving you a number which fucking means nothing. And whilst these tests are interesting, they've got, Chris, 12k views. I'm not sure it really changes anything. You know, look, if you were going to say to me, tell me what ESC you'd recommend, which would be the best option, you'd probably say a T-motor. Or whatever they call themselves now. You'd generally say, go for a T-motor. But again, this plays into what I was talking about earlier is, when was the last time... I haven't built an ESC out for a long time, and I have crashed. I think hardware has come on a huge amount. And even cheap hardware is decent now. You know, iFlight had a reputation for some sketchy hardware at one point, whereas now pretty much all of the iFlight stuff is fine. People were even concerned at some of the really small iFlight ESCs that they're shoving into the Nazguls. They're fine. They're not failing. How is AOS motors? They are very nice. I like Chris's motors. However, if you take the AOS motor, which is a very nice motor, and it is incredibly nice, it really genuinely is, but it's £10 or so roughly more than the iFlight Zing 2s. The Zing 2 is a freaking good motor as well, and how many people are going to notice $10 worth of difference? On paper, it can be X amount percentages better, but it doesn't mean the user will see that. And I think where you got to be careful with data is, it's easy to get lost in the weeds of data going, this is 5% better. But if you can't even notice that 5%, then it doesn't matter. And this is the problem with data and percentages and certain kinds of testing, because you're absolutely right in what you're saying, but that doesn't mean it will make a material difference to the end user's experience. I could make this live stream 5% better, but you guys would still see a shit stream, and that's the reality of it. I could make this stream 100% better and you'd still see a shit stream. Do I think hardware reviews have gotten more popular because of how expensive hardware has gotten recently? Yes. I think people like to know what they're buying. Honestly, I think latency is not that big of an issue. I've always said it. I've always had this argument. I don't feel latency is the biggest problem. yeah. Tell me about it. Tom, you've hit the nail on the head. So, look, Oxbot asked me to share this. I've shared it. I don't really know what to say other than they are adamant it isn't BLHeli 32. It isn't based on BLHeli 32, and it's their own code. I didn't really say it was. But who knows? So, that's that there. If you guys have got any questions, we will take them now before we move on to the next subject. While we're doing that, I'm going to show you this cube. So I have the Snapmaker, as I've said. Quite a setup process on the U1. A bit much for new users. 24 versus 48 kilohertz difference. It's a little bit more punchy. 48 kilohertz is quite... You lag... You feel you do feel a little difference between the PWM. Any news when the new Ascent Plus is coming out? No idea. I have no idea when Caddx is releasing it. I run shitty AliExpress motors on all of my builds because they're cheap and I maybe one die in a crash, but I can buy a set of 4 of them of one premium motor. Good? Yeah, it's a good move. Yeah, look, 48 is... You're updating things faster. There are quirks to it. You like if you're flying 04 as an example, you're going to notice the difference because it takes away some of the gyro. But yeah, people always tend to say it feels a little smoother. Definitely more better for more cinematic. I remember Race Star motors. No. I got some old DYS ones, yeah. Those have been around a long time. So, let me show you this while I'm thinking. That's not the right one. That's not... I've lost my overhead. There it is. So, this is the test cube I did on the Snapmaker U1. I am incredibly impressed so far. That is a clean print. Just a quick test. And it's dimensionally accurate as well. That took 20 minutes. And that is the Prime Tower. No poop because it's a tool changer. I will say this. As my very first print. The rest are going to kick off overnight. I will say this. I've dealt with Snapmaker before. And the hardware's always been good. The software's been terrible. Genuinely, they have what appears to be delivered a little bit of magic here. Frankly, Prusa should be embarrassed. How is Prusa not the one to deliver this frickin' printer when they basically delivered the first mass market tool changer? How they're not the ones to fucking create this, I don't know. Bamboo need to stop messing around with multiple tool heads. I get the dual, but Bamboo need to do a tool changer. They need to do a tool changer now. They must do a tool changer. They just need to. They genuinely just need to. Creality need to carry on just copying everyone else because that's what they're doing. But how Prusa... How did they fucking get this wrong? Is there any advantage of the U1 having a stepper motor? Is there any advantage of the U1 having a stepping motor on each tool head? No, there isn't a stepping motor on each tool head. The U1 has a single stepper, and then the tool head has the... Oh, am I the wrong way around? No, you are right. I'm talking shit. I'm talking shit. Sorry. I'm thinking of something else. You are right. I'm talking shit. The reason they have a stepper is just to try and make life easy. Look, the Bondtech system is very interesting in itself. Lightweight. You're going to allow for more speeds. But there are payoffs and upsides and downsides. So, if you think of the Snapmaker's option is better for an alignment purpose because you're not having to realign the hot end to the extruder motor every time. So if you take what Bondtech's doing and Bamboo are doing with their hot end changer, you're having to do some calibration alignment. Whereas on this, you're having to align the whole unit to the gantry. You're aligning whatever you do, but there are differences in it. Would I say Bondtech is better? One is better than the other. I think they're different approaches. What matters is what works and what hits the market. Because right now, you can't even get the other bloody thing. You know, if you go onto Prusa's website, you can't even order this all anytime soon. This is all out of stock. It's all, you know, you can... Oh, and INDX is here. Brilliant. We all want INDX. We want the INDX. Ready for INDX update. Right, where do I fucking order the INDX kit? So here's a Core 1. Where's the INDX kit? The kit on its own is insane money. So, it's out of stock, but the conversion kit is basically the same money as the U1 at the moment. This is taking too long. But here's something what I don't get. Prusa have their own tool changer. Why haven't they developed a tool changer for this themselves? They've got the Excel. And look, is this a nice, clean solution? Absolutely. I do like this solution. I think it's very, very nice. Where is it? I want to be able to buy it. You can't buy it anywhere. This is the problem. You can't... This is becoming a never, never. This is the problem. It's all very well... It's frankly, it's vaporware. That's the problem with this right now. It is still vaporware. And you got companies now banging these things out. Prusa's always been expensive. Yeah, look, and they make some fantastic printers, but how many printers has Snapmaker sold in the time this has all been talked about? When you think about it, how many has been sold in that time? This is dead. This is dead to the... Where this will get a holding is in education and industry. Okay? That's where this will get a holding. Trust me, schools have a lot of Prusa printers. Are most machines still running at 0.4? Yes. This will get a hold in education. But... yeah, the Flash Forge is looking interesting. I meant to have the Flash Forge coming. And I use the word meant because I need to be careful what I say here. Let's just say I have some alarm bells over this whole thing. And it's not that I don't trust the printer. It's I turned down the original terms. It's never good, right, when you send an email, because you hadn't heard anything, and you send an email saying, hey, what's going on? And they sort of go, yeah, no, it's all in order. We're just trying to get it sorted. Oh, by the way, when will the video go live? How long after delivery will the video go live? When I've already explained how long it takes. I'm literally being asked again when the video will go live. And I'm very close to saying what I really feel. There is a very good video on the Creator 5 that's gone live. Just take into account, though, it is sponsored. So he is only telling you certain things. Let's just say. But you do get a bit of a view of it. Okay? You do get a bit of a view of the printer. It's this one here. Just take into account, he clearly says in this video he is being sponsored, and it is not a completely unbiased review. It is a sponsored video. However, you do get a bit of a look over it. What I will say is it looks cheap. But I do like some of the elements that they've done. With theirs, obviously, you've got the fixed extruder motor. Yes, look, it's an interesting point. Not so gaming. DJI have invested in Elegoo, for those who don't know. Which I found interesting. Why was it not bamboo? Why was it not bamboo? That's quite a telling thing. And for those who don't know, bamboo was created by one of DJI's former product managers. In fact, one of their main people, Dr. Turbo. For those who've been around as long as I have, Teo himself, who is known as Dr. Turbo, that is the creator of bamboo. For those who've been around RC groups for years, there was a user called DJI Propulsion, right? If I search in RC groups, there was a user called DJI Propulsion. Here he is. Let's just find posts by him. For those who've been around a very long time, this man here, Dr. Turbo, this is the creator of Bamboo Lab. He was one of the main guys at DJI for a very, very, very long time. Hasn't logged in since 2022. But it just tells you something interesting, doesn't it? Dr. T. But yes, for those who don't know, DJI has strategically... Yeah, trust me, I go back a long way with some of these companies and people. Used to talk to Dr. T on here quite regularly. Find all posts by Dr. T. There will be a post on here of me talking to him. He was behind the Mavic Pro as well. What's he replying to there? He's been around a while. He's an old... He'd crashed too many Mavics. Yeah. But anyways, good. That's brought back some memories. That's the good days. That is the good days. So yes. Anyway, DJI has invested in Elegoo, which is very, very interesting in itself. Became a shareholder in Elegoo's parent company in late 2025, contributing to its B funding rounds that raised tens of millions of US dollars. This could have a very interesting move. I haven't seen anything yet I'd really go as... I don't think we've really seen the benefit of this yet. Maybe we will soon. The Century Carbon was already... Yeah, look, they've released the CC1. I saw that this week. I think it's hard to fix the reputational damage, but they have delivered on what they said they were going to do. For those who don't know, the original version of the Century Carbon, which they said they were going to release an AMS for, then they proceeded to release the AMS that wasn't compatible with it alongside the Century Carbon 2, which was like... I can't remember how many months later it was, but it was like 6 months later. They literally fixed all of the problems with the printer and released a V2. However, they have now released a multicolour material device. And I'm going to try and... Here it is. So they've released this. And to be fair to them, it's 38 quid. You can't knock the price. Okay? The price of it is very good. Canvas for Century Carbon. It's basically the Prusa style external multicolour unit is what it is. It's how Prusa was doing it on their MMS system. So they have delivered, but it's taken an awful long time. An awful long time. They are in essence giving this away. At 38 quid, they're basically giving this away. You think of the development cost on this. It's basically a freaking voucher. But you've got to modify the extruder to add a cutter. So it's not just in the kit, when I was looking at it, where's the kit? There's a picture of the kit which includes all of the parts, and it's some extruder parts as well. Ah, here we go. So, Here you go. So that is everything in it. So if you look at it, it's basically a new extruder. So you're getting the unit, the spool holders. Freaking, you look at what you're getting here for it. It's quite a lot of parts. It's not financially viable to do this, is it? If you look at it, this is, we screwed up, we're putting it right. But to be fair to them, they are putting it right. You know, you have to. If we zoom in, what is in there? 'Cause there's fucking loads there. So there's a front cover for the extruder, 4 spool holders, a duct. Is that a new PCB for the extruder? It looks like it because there's a hole in the middle. There's the main extruder cutting assembly. You've got a new fan. You've got, I don't know what these are, rails to hold it maybe. And then all the other accessories. You know, to be fair to them, that's quite a lot for the money. To be fair to them. And they are still selling the carbon. So they're still selling the carbon. And then you got the carbon 2. And the carbon 2 had their module. And it's the same unit. But they also had an AMS. Didn't they have an AMS module to go with it as well? Yeah, look, bamboo is still the best way forward. Let's not pretend it isn't. I have the original palette and the palette 2 to this day and nothing's worked properly. Yeah, Elgo have reached out to me a few times, but I've not really felt... I might have to revisit. Now they've done this, I might have to revisit. I've got to get through the Snapmaker first. Genuinely, with the Snapmaker, everything I've seen so far, I'm really impressed with. The hardware on the printer, I'm really impressed with. But the only thing I think is a bit shit, and Joseph, you'll know this, I've got 6 fucking screw holes in the plastic base now where they screw down the bits to hold some of the stuff inside. Why have they screwed that straight into the plastic base? It looks like someone just goes, oh, that'll do. Zzz, zzz, zzz. A1 Mini in the back is very good. But yeah, I think Snapmaker are on to something. Snapmaker are definitely on to something. And I'm not worried about the pogo pins. Because remember, the pogo pins going through are basically only for the front fan, if I'm right. So people were complaining about the pogo pins. But if I'm right, the pogo pins are only for the front fan. There's nothing else driven off the front. So, I don't think there's anything else driven off the front. Are the colour changes assigned in the slicer? So, I did come across something that drove me a little bit mad in the slicer. So it's using Orca Slicer, slightly modified. It syncs to the printer, but unlike Bamboo, it doesn't sync the filament order. So anyone who's used Bamboo with a with an AMS, you sync the filaments to the main work area so you know which one's in which. On the Snapmaker it doesn't. So you can see, say, your colours in 1, 2, 3 and 4, but it doesn't automatically sync that to 1, 2, 3 and 4 on the build plate page. You have to manually set that yourself so you know what you're doing. So 1 is 1 and 2 is 2 and 3 is 3 and 4 is 4, but it doesn't automatically update the colours from the printer. I am using it. No, so The device page detects the colors of the filaments fine. They don't, and they actually say this, they don't synchronize it to the main working area. And I don't know why would you not do that. The Bamboo does. I'm like, huh? What? Sorry, what? What? Why don't you do that? Seems weird to me. Seems weird why it doesn't sync. The printer knows what colour filaments it's got. Tell you what, the 4 loading I was really impressed with. I loaded all 4 filaments and loaded them into the extruders, and I like the fact you can tell it to load them all at the same time, and it'll load all 4 through at the same time. That was really good. I don't know how they've managed to get the scrolling bad on the screen. The screen scrolling is quite broken. Don't know what that's about. If you scroll up and down with your finger, it goes all jaggedy. It's like, okay. Other than that, quick question. What was the last thing you printed for fun? Something for my kids. The last thing I printed was actually for my wife. Have I tried the colour merge? No, I haven't. I've literally done 1 print. That's it. Haven't done anything else yet. That's my first print. I unboxed it today. Set it up today, ready to rock and roll. So we're just waiting on getting that. Right, the next thing I want to talk about is this video from Bot Grinder. Now, for those who don't know, Bot Grinder is a highly respected member of society and a highly respected creator as well. Well, he's one of those 2 things. And he's put out quite a good video, actually, just talking about his 10 years in FPV. And it's actually a really interesting point because we're in now a period where it's getting hard to make content about something new. And what I mean by that is this. We're now at the stage where very little new is coming. Digital FPV has largely peaked. You know, I wouldn't expect any great changes and improvement in digital from 04. 04 is the current peak. I keep seeing people talk about things like when's 05 come in. It's not gonna be better. There is no better in digital FPV than 04 today. It's just not going to happen. There's nothing that they can really even do. You might get some different cameras and you might get some improvements on recording rates. But from an RF perspective, we're already seeing DJI hit the limit, and DJI are now baking into many of their products cellular because of the wireless side of things has caught up. 1080p live feed. No one, you're not going to really go higher than 1080p. It makes no sense on the displays. Range is pretty much as high as you want to go. DJI is limited intentionally. But things like this are going to give you as far as you can ever probably get. The reality is, whilst there can be catch-up, could you see, imagine Avatar 2 came, imagine it actually happened, and it did catch up to DJI a bit, but the reality is, the peak of digital FPV is here. Analog is what analog is. FPV goggles have largely peaked. There really isn't much to do on analog goggles. You're never going to see DJI release a goggle with analog and HDMI in. Just you need to brace yourself for that. It's not going to happen. HD Zero have delivered, the premium all-in-one goggle. Flight controllers are now incredibly reliable. Fast enough. Flight software largely just works now. Betaflight, Ardra Pilot, they're good enough. I've forgotten its name. INAV. Beta flight out the box is phenomenal now. And then you've got like the closed source ones like KISS, which is just KISS Ultra, which just works. Radios have peaked in the last 2-3 years. Radios are, you know, the TX15 and the Mark III. We're there now. Express ELRS has dual band, 1 watt of power. We are at a stage where for the next couple of years, it's going to be really hard to find something that is genuinely new. And you are starting to see the overspill of this into the creator space. And, you know, this has happened in cameras. Gerald Undone, for those who watch, Gerald Undone has just... He's not quit. Quit isn't the right word. But he's basically said he's going to do no more camera reviews because they're all the same. They've all got to a stage where digital cameras are now good enough. You know, I remember digital cameras when they first came out. I had one of the very first digital cameras. And look where we're at now. They're good enough. And we're in that stage in FPV as well. It's good enough now. And I'm not saying there isn't interesting and exciting things to look at, but the reality is, even I'm finding I'm getting emails from companies saying, hey, we got our next drone coming, do you want to look at it? And I'm just like, no, I actually don't think I do, because what does it bring to the table? And it's not that I think these companies aren't doing good work, but even I'm starting to look at stuff and go, it doesn't interest me. Just another, you know, another ready to fly, another bind and fly. It's hard now to start to see the differences, and even 3D printers have got to this stage. You know, this is why I'm genuinely interested. This Snapmaker today has sort of woken me back up a little bit on printers, because I sort of slowed down on printer stuff because it was like, well, they're all good. Bamboo sort of made everything amazing. This is genuinely good and different. Elon lobbing a chip in your head. And I do, look, I really enjoyed... Mad, I still keep tempted by the P1S. Absolutely. I really enjoyed doing those camera reviews, the camera drone reviews. The Avata 360 was brilliant. And I enjoyed the Lito and the Lito X1 because it's something different I haven't done for a while. And I am going to be doing a little bit more mixed content. You're going to get a bit more mixed from me because I need to find something interesting in it. I've enjoyed doing the GT2 bench stuff because that's on the bench testing and we're going to keep doing that. But the reality is, making a review about another radio, it's like, you know, I get... You know, if you think about it, Radio Master released something and then everyone else follows behind with the clones. And I don't mean clones, but I do mean, you know, Jumper come out with their version. And look, we just looked at the TX15, the Jumper T15 Pro. It's a very nice radio. There's fuck all new there, but it's a nice radio. But I'm at the stage where I'm interested in what's new, but just, okay, here's another version of this, isn't going to cut it anymore. And everything on YouTube is on the fall. Anyone who's, like, I don't know about Stu, perhaps Stu's doing amazing, I don't know. I'm seeing everything fall off. The views are terrible at the moment. Probably because I'm making shit content. I did all right on a short, which hit 4 million views, by the way. I hit a short that hit 4 million views on a short. That was interesting. But everything now is, you're not going to be getting huge changes. Higher transmit resolution would interest the broadcast industry. Yeah, but we already have it. DJI have that in their Pro products already. The Avata 360 short hit 4 million views. 20 cents. Yeah, about that. Let me find it. What was the income on 4 million views? Let me find it. It was fucking shocking. It's quite funny when you actually look at it. Shorts. 4.4 million views. Analytics. 43p. I've heard that doing live streams on the main channel hurts the stats. No, look, there's a lot of nonsense on YouTube that used to happen. YouTube don't hurt you anymore for doing lives. They treat YouTube completely separated off lives years ago. It's all fine. It used to be said it would. It just doesn't now. If anything, my lives do better than the other videos. Yeah, 43p and 11 plus subscribers. Quite funny. 4.4 million views. I think the interesting thing is the US effect has had an impact. I think the whole drone situation in the US has really had an impact. That is real. And it's not that I don't enjoy it. I do, but I am going to get a bit pickier now. And it's a good time to get pickier. Oh, the AI content's shite. No, what I want to try and do is, I got a couple of projects in my head. I've been waiting for something to happen because I got the Chipito, which I need to order a new set of batteries for. I have had a battery manufacturer reach out, actually. I want to get the Chipito back out, but I also wanted to do the Big Bird. My brain's gone. I haven't seen anything in the lore about YouTube. In the future, most of the binder fly is going to be tiny ropes. I tell you what, I do like 2 to 3 inch 04 quads. Really enjoy them. 2 to 3 inch 04 quads are very, very fun indeed. Why can't... Do you know what? I always struggle a little bit on the TBS website. Trappy, sort it out. Wings. Not the Chipito kits. Mojito. Sorry, I couldn't get my head around. I am planning on doing the Mojito. YouTube put out a statement. I don't know what that would have been about. Oh, you're talking about the Online Safety Act, are you? If you might be just talking about the Online Safety Act for the kids stuff. That doesn't affect me because my stuff's not made for kids. The Chipito has a major problem in its default design that there's a single T antenna vertically in the rear, which needs a second. I had a situation where I banked and lost control instantly. I've not had it drop like that. I'm running crossfire in it. Okay, look. Okay, you got your antenna nulls, and you're going to have cross polarization. But you would have to get a complete signal loss, you'd almost have to be... I wouldn't even get in losses in rolls. So I'd be looking at something's up. If you've had an instant loss, don't get me wrong, a long distance potentially, you've got your nulls obviously, which are going to be the top and bottom. And then you're going to have cross polarization. Unless you hit the nulls above or below you. 915. Yeah, very long. Yeah. Yeah, look, could it benefit from a second antenna horizontal? I think if you're flying very, very long range, it's probably always better to have cross polarization. If you're flying... I'm not sure the Chipito was really designed for super long range. But yeah, you probably want to cross polarize. Yeah, look, there's loads of shit that goes on with YouTube. Look, if they put, look, YouTube could pull the plug on all of us tomorrow and it all ends. I don't worry about what laws might do or anything. It's... Why does your drone drop? Does it not fail safe and hover? Most FPV quads don't do fail safe and hover. They'll do punch out or they'll do fall from the sky. I tend to punch out. Chipito's major flaw is that it's a flying wing and it's basically a stabilizer. Yeah, I quite like wings. Yes, it moves around a lot. It can be like that. Off-grid communications is huge right now. Yeah, I did have a look at Meshtastic. Meshtastic was quite interesting. It was quite... No one round me with it, really. Look, my plan is I need to get a bunch of new batteries for the Chipito. I need to rebuild the VTX unit for the Chipito. I'm going to put in... Funny enough, I did talk about Avatar at the very start. I might even put the GT in the Chipito. At 25 milliwatts, obviously. But I might put the GT in the Chipito because it'll hopefully keep itself under fucking thermal control. Did I ever field test the TX60 Mark III? Yes, I field test every radio I've used. I'm still... My daily driver is the TX15. My daily is the TX15. It's in my radio bag right now. Perfect size for me. But yeah, the Chipito, I want to get... She's there. She had a horrible crash the last time I flew it. Then that I want to get up, but I need to get some batteries. I'm going to order some batteries this week. Boxer in pink. So for the whole UK has to be 25 milliwatts EIRP. UK, that would be including EIRP, yes, in the UK. Yeah, Chipito is a field flyer, I agree. I'd go the Mojito is more of a longer range bird than the Chipito. The Chipito is... it is a bit like... Any footage is... She does move around a bit. I haven't flown the Mojito. Does anyone have a Mojito? Is it more stable, the Mojito? I don't know. I don't know if the Mojito is... I do. It's a lot more stable. Okay. Yeah, look, it's on the list. I've been waiting. It's way bigger. Yeah, I was just intrigued if it moved around as much. She's definitely a lot bigger. Maybe with a gimbal it's okay. Yeah, probably would. I might put the GT... Or I'll put in an 04 unit. I got an 04 here. The problem with 04 is it can't keep itself freaking cool. That's the problem. You'll never get a stable flying wing. No, look, if you wanted a real stable plane, you get something like a long-range Believer or something. Do you know, what's the stock level like on the big long rangers at the moment? What's everyone's favourite big old long range? Wings are for ripping, not filming. Yes. If we go to the desktop, what's everyone's... Believer was always a goodie. Mini Talon. AR Pro. Yeah, I have an AR fucking Pro. I'm giving up on getting that thing in the air. I have destroyed my AR Wing Pro. Where is it? Even my Pro is destroyed. Oh, it's over there. Fucking thing. Fucking thing. Yeah. Believer's always been a biggie. Mini Talon. Yeah. Mini Talon was always a goodie. Let's have a look. Getting stock in the UK of these is always a bit of a challenge. Talon. Mini Snow Goose. Mini Talon. Come on. AliExpress. My only worry is ordering from like AliExpress. Will it freaking arrive in one bit? Talon Pro. Talon Pro is it in stock? Oh, out of stock. So, Mini Talon. Let's have a look. What do people prefer? The Talon Pro or the Mini Talon? No, I've never 3D printed a wing. Wow. Okay. Right. Better. Don't search for Mini Talon on AliExpress. Unless you're into feet. Yeah, well, yeah. It's the UK leg that beat it to within an inch of its life. 107. Yeah. Yeah, don't ask. We were looking for planes. So there's a Mini Talon. The Believer was always a good long ranger. I like wings. To be fair, I do like wings. Mojito, I think, could be next. I need to get a new battery for the Chapito. because my batteries are screwed. I'm going to go with the... Well, actually, I've got to go and watch my own video now to get the sizing right, because I know they said you could go up. Look, as a good beginner wing, the Chapito I think is a good start. Hydroplane intro video. Yeah, I'm not sure. Flight Roy now. It prints great if you get the settings right. Are you using PLA Aero? ACG. So, which one are you printing? You got the Stork, the Moose. Moose looks a bit big. Stork looks interesting. Stallion VTOL, nice. Are they any good? There are people who like them and there are people who don't. Required accessories. It's not bad, is it? 20 odd quid. There are free options out there. There are absolutely free options out there. Is that body printed in one piece or multiples? That is... It's a lump of an aircraft, mind, isn't it? It's not the smallest thing in the world. But the nice thing is, when you crash it, you could just print another part. I like the idea of that. Yeah, well, I got PLA Aero here. We could do it in PLA Aero. I'm not sure. As for other good models, I think it's... Just drop your PLA in a 5-gal bucket for a month. That is interesting. So that's the diagram. It's I tell you what is a shame. I would love it if you could just buy a kit of the accessories from them. That would be much nicer. 10mm times 100mm spar. So is 10... 8 times 10 by 100. See, that's 17 quid because there's 8mm times 10 by... What's this? Easy composites. This is the problem. You're then talking expensive parts. You're talking 10 quid on that one. Then what about this one? What? Why is that taking me to a clock? That's 10 quid. Cheap on Ali, yeah. Yeah, you'd have to do it on Ali. The rest of that's fine. So it's the carbon... It's the carbon tubes you'd have to just... You'd have to go 10 times 100 on AliExpress. So what would that be on AliExpress? So what are we talking? That's rods. I want tube. So we want 10 mil by 100 times 10. I used ABS irrigation for the tail boom. Okay, could be worth looking. So what size do is I said I wanted? So let's get back to this. Close. So we need 10 mil times 100 on one spar. So where are we here? So we need 10 times 100. 18 by 16 by 250. What's the three sizes? Am I going mad? Why are there three sizes? Oh, yeah, okay, inner and outer. Yeah. So you want 10 outer. 10, so what did we want? 10 by 10,000 by... Is that 1 meter? Shit, I closed it. History... Was that 1 meter? Yeah. Fucking 1 meter. They haven't even got them 1 meter, look. Bollocks. What do we got here? She took it 7. Just trying to have a look. Okay. 500's the maximum length. Although you could just put 2 together. Oh, yeah. Look, my keyboard's out the way. You could just put 2 together, mind. Couldn't you? You could just do an extension. Okay. 10 by 8 by 1,000. Okay, so that's $13 for 2. Add to cart. Let's just do this, right? And have a look what that costs. Lost it. Where is it? Thank you. Come back. We want 8 by 1,000 as well. Add to cart. 6 by 500. Are these all 500s now and they're shorter? Yes, 6 by 500. So we need to come off this one. Not that one. 6 times 500. 6 times 500 carbon. Not 5, 6. No, 43 shipping. Ah, I'm just trying to have a look at rough pricing. So what we got here? 5. I'm just trying to have a look at rough pricing. 3 by 500. No, 3 by 500 there. $5 mil is the smallest on that one. It's annoying. So what size did I want again? I've lost track. 3. 4. Okay. Probably talking $100 in tube, isn't you? You're probably talking $100 in tube. So I tend to prefer to buy kits. Probably go for a Talon Pro. So how much is a Talon Pro kit? Ah! Hobby RC haven't got any. What's Hobby RC got in stock? Anything interesting? T-Wing, T1, T... Can I interest you in graphite tubes? I can't be bothered to scroll through all of that. Anyone got a Talon Pro playing UK? Come on. Anyone got it in stock? No. Mini Talon. Not that many on AliExpress, is there? Even on Ali there wasn't. Good evening. Have a good evening. I'm going to be finishing up in a minute myself. We're just trying to find fucking planes on AliExpress. Even that's hard. But yes, I need to get some batteries. Does anyone remember the big battery size for the Chipito? I can't remember the recommended battery size. Up to, oh, look at that. AI overview has already stripped it out. Look at that. $270 grams for a 6S. So I need to find a 6S pack. Now, we did have this company reach out to me on their batteries. New Yank. These are the guys who reached out to me on the new batteries. Now, let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. So, they're saying 270 grams. So, 6S. We want to have a look at FPV battery. We want 6S. Let's have a look at what they're... So, let's have a look at their sizing. 1,000 to 999. So, what have they got? So, 1,500 is the biggest. What's the weight on the 1,500? 238 grams. Yeah, I could have a bit bigger than that. Guys, come on. Damn, they got nothing bigger. That's a shame. .6S batteries. What we got on 6S? Show more. We want... No, I went to 1,000 to 1,999. So that I'm looking for 1,800 milliamp hour. Got 1,400 milliamp hour as well. What else we got? Come on. 1,200. New. New. You're using 2002 in the Chapito. Wow. Oh, there's an 18. Where did you appear from? Oh, 304 grams. Ah, little overweight. This is... They've reached out. Apparently, the reviews I've heard of, these aren't bad at all. New Yank. New Yank. Hobby RC. Hobby RC. What have Hobby RC got battery-wise? Batteries. Trying to get fucking batteries in the UK is so hard. I could make 6S. Well, I was gonna make a pack for the Chapito, funnily enough, because I've still got loads of cells here. Funny enough, I was thinking about making a pack for the Chapito. So what would we be? Where's the scales? It's funny you say this. I was thinking about this. Where are my scales gone? Me scales have vanished. Me scales. Where are me scales? They're not where they should be. Where the bloody hell are my scales gone? One moment, ladies and gentlemen. Scales are not where they should be. That's annoying. I thought they were here. Fucking hell. Where have they gone now? Why is it everything disappears when you want it? Huh? Whenever you want something, why does it have to vanish into the ether and disappear into no man's land? It's like every freaking time. Oh, they're there. Found them. Right. Twats. So what's 6 of these? Well, that's not going to happen, is it? Can do a 4S. Can't do 6S. PL301 252. Yeah, these are PB52, PB50s. So that's not going to happen. What have we got here then? Fucking hell. What? Do you know what annoys me? Don't fucking show it if it's out of stock. Don't show a battery if it's not in stock. Just don't. If it's not in stock, I don't care. What is the point of showing it on your website if you haven't got it? Never been a great GMB fan. 1730, 660C. What's the weight on this purple thing? 279 grams. That would do. That would be there. Never been a big GMB fan, but that'd be fine for the wing. Yeah, but half of these batteries are never in fricking stock. 302 grams on the yellow. You're definitely gaining some weight on the yellow. The pinky should be okay for the wing. A couple of them would do. What battery size are they recommended on the Mojito? Does anyone know? I've not even looked at battery size on the Mojito. 6S. They've got 5008S ideal. Wow. Yeah, you've only got one motor. It'll be fine on the plane. Need a couple of them, I think. Couple of them for the couple of them should be fine for the Mojito. Although the Mojito's not bad on 4S, I don't really know. Yes, I hated GNB. Yes. They're the only batteries I've had that have gone on fire. You do not recommend a lipo? No, not on the Mojito. Couple of them will do it. It's bigger than you realise. What's the size? 40 by... What's the max battery size on the Chapito? Let's just have a look. What is the battery size? Max dimensions 50 by 50 by 150. And what is this? 40 by 45 by 84. That's okay. Yeah, I'm even intrigued at what it would be like on 4S, because you could get some decent weight on a 4S battery. I wonder what the 4S. What sort of weight we got on a bigger 4S? What's that? What's the weight on that? Look at. Now we've got some playroom. You could get a big 4S in there. You could probably go 2, 3, not size 34, 35, 108, 255. You could get a big 4S in there for that on the Chapito. I wonder what... 4 cells on the PB50s. Is that full weight? You could just go 4S PB50 that I've got here. That's probably worth a look. Although you're not paralleled. P65. Yeah, well, I got PB50s here, so... I wonder what it would be like in a 4S with 4 PB50s. What's the maximum current draw on a PB50? $60 amp. We'll be all right then. 4S 4-pack PB50. Probably be all right on that. Don't know if you really need the 6S on the Chapito. Could you go discharge current continuous is 60 amp? That'll be fine. You're not pulling 60 on the fucking single motor. Yeah, well, there's airflow to the battery already. It comes in through the noise. A nose? Nose. The airflow comes in through the nose. So there's tons of airflow in it already. Could be tempted to make one of them up and see how the Chapito flies on a 4S with PB50s. Might be doing that tomorrow. It's got me thinking. Has anyone flown the Chapito on 4S? I haven't. If I recall, you have to cut a bit of foam from the canopy to get it, but it's doable. Anyone flown the Chapito on 4S? Because I haven't. I flew it on 6. What sizing are we at on that? Let's have a look. 42. So we'll be 42 mil square. And what did they say the maximum battery size is? 50. According to this, it should fit. According to the dimensions, it should be 50 by 50 by 150. And that's 42 by 42. I have a 6S 2B blind pack, maybe a 57. Pull up. Only have a 6, but it's a 6S motor. Yeah, 42 by 7. Hence it's 21/700. Hence the 42 by 42. I always measure just in case. It's easier than just using my brain and thinking. Yeah. Yeah, maybe 2400 kV. Just up the motor. Okay. Right, guys, that's it from me. Please do consider checking out the links to my Patreon as well as buy me a coffee. Thank you for spending time with me tonight. Look after yourself. We should be back same time, same place next week. And I will speak to you soon. Later.